Times and New York Times and Happs News. And I'm excited. I'm not going to draw today. I'm going to talk to the CEO of Happs, and that's Mark Goldman. Mark is here, right? You're here, Mark?
I'm here, Liza. It's great.
I haven't done this very often. I think we talked once before.
We did.
And I'm glad to have you back. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So let's see.
See, Yassine is here.
From St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Where are you, Mark?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you again when we were last discussing on Happs. I interviewed you and talked about Happs. Maybe we go a little bit deeper dive into it. But you could. Sorry?
You're going to grill me?
Yeah. Well, I have questions, but I think I'm just going to wing it. And I really want to know, first of all, for people who don't know, tell us, when you started Happs and why you started Happs with David Newman, your co-creator.
So we originally founded the company back in 2017 because we felt that there was a need to create a next generation live news service that really threw out the existing playbook and covered breaking news and current events in a whole new fashion. And we built this platform to allow us to do that, to cover these stories all over the world in a way that was both extremely scalable and also very cost effective. Mm-hmm. And then realized kind of at the end of 2019 that wasn't thinking big enough, that we were using these incredible tools for our own use, but that the much bigger opportunity was to turn the tools over to all sorts of creators and let them use them for their own use to create their own kind of TV media brands. Mm-hmm. And so we spent most of last year re-architecting the platform to make it much more consumer friendly, much easier for people to use. And then we launched it in the summer, and we originally started working with journalists, of which you were one of the first who agreed to join us on this journey, and mm-hmm. have been one of my favorites for sure, and one of the best people that have committed to this platform. And we built up a great core group of journalists, and then we started to open it up to other types of creators. And now we've got a whole range of people, as you probably seen, using mm-hmm. the platform, from musicians to artists to cooks and all sorts of things. And we say that this platform is really built for professionals and enthusiasts who want to share their work or their creativity and passion with others.
Mm-hmm. And how's it going? How are you getting? I know that Periscope is ending, if it hasn't already, and so you got a lot of people coming over from there. But how's it going? How are you reaching out to not just to get broadcasters, but to get people to know what Happs is? Because most people I talk to never heard of it before. Still, they don't know what it is. Well, sorry, maybe I'm not in the right circles.
No, that's quite all right. Look, it's still very early, Liza. The biggest way that people are learning about Happs is through the broadcasters we have on the platform. They see the broadcast on other platforms where they follow the creator. And they learn about Happs. Some of them are broadcasters themselves and end up coming over here to check it out and using the platform. And some of them are just fans of that broadcaster and come here to connect with them and have the experience of being part of their community here. So That's really the way that most people are finding out about Happs. There's been a few articles written about us. We've done no consumer marketing to this point. It's really just through word of mouth and through people getting exposed via the broadcasts.
Mm-hmm. What's great about Happs is, and we talked about this before, is that there's no gatekeeper. So, and that's a positive. It can also be a negative, I suppose. But the democratization of the news, and I'm going to focus on journalism because that's what I know, is something that needs to be done. And I don't know if the traditional media is adapting to that. How do you see Happs fitting into the whole landscape of journalism? Is it going to continue to try to make inroads in what journalism is now?
Yeah, absolutely, Liza. But we feel that the premise on which we built Happs is as relevant, if not even more relevant today as when we first started this company. Fundamentally, news, from our perspective, is just a broken model. It's broken from a creative perspective because it's largely supported by advertising, which means they have to produce a product that has lots of viewership. And the easiest way to produce product that has lots of viewership is to create controversy, because unfortunately that's what people are interested in. And so they program and gear their coverage to that, and it results in an unhealthy discord in these countries, and we think that's got to change. And if the way that we see that changing is to give journalists the tools, not require them to work through a media company that's managing their work to those agendas, and let them, cover stories and do their reporting, and let the fans of them and their reporting, connect with them directly and support them directly, instead of supporting them through advertising. Support their work if you believe in their work, and there's many examples of that going on around the world. Everything from The Guardian, which has in the last few years done a tremendous job of getting people to volunteer to support the journalism that they're producing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. To obviously a lot's been talked about newsletters, and that form of journalism as well. So look, this is a new model. It's a new way of thinking about business. It clearly is something new for journalists, and in fairness, journalists have been pretty much our hardest group to convince to do this, because I think historically they felt as if their work has been undervalued, and that if somebody is suggesting that they do their work without guaranteed payment, that it's a result of their trying to take advantage of the situation, or believe that it's not worth it. And we're just having to work through the process of explaining the idea, the framework, and the model that we've created, and chipping away at it bit by bit. But we truly believe that this is the future of the way journalism is going to be done, and we'll get there, brick by brick.
Let's see who's here. I saw Peter's here. Hi, Peter. Peter Bittner, your director of community, right?
Yeah, Peter's here.
Peter's one of the first people I spoke to, and he will attest to the fact I was suspicious. It's like, what is this? Hi, Pablo, also. one of the he helps me a lot with my broadcasting. Who else is here? Swift Beats.
I see Helen is here. She's one of my favorites on this platform. So it's
Helen? Helen, what does she do? What is her main focus, Helen?
Helen is a radio DJ and has an amazing presence and knowledge of music. And you can often catch her after her radio show, broadcasting on Happs and talking with other people and playing music and just enjoying being with her community. It's great.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's great. I think if I don't follow you, Helen, I'm certainly going to. I see Drew is here, Drew Shepard, another Happs person. Thank you for the award. I've noticed that the New York Times is now doing live broadcasting with their op-ed contributors so that they can interact with their readers. And it's a model of sort of what you're doing, trying to connect. And I've noticed with my drawing that the people, they like to see me draw, but they also I think they like to just talk to me or exchange ideas with me or just talk about the weather or something. That it's a connection with people, which I think we've lost so much of that. And it's and I heard you on another interview. You were talking about how many of the broadcasters on Happs, myself included, it's not a polished production. It's oftentimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about or draw about. So it's the impromptu, it's the unexpected. And I wonder if that's part of what is interesting to people, but it's also, is that news? I'm searching for questions because I'm still trying to, I love Happs and I love doing this kind of thing, as you know, but I'm still trying to understand my place in the world of journalism doing this kind of thing. Yeah. So I'll just throw that out at you and see what you say.
Yeah, look, I appreciate that, Liza. First of all, I do draw a distinction between news and journalism. News has a certain connotation to me, and journalism is a little bit broader in my book as far as the things that can be covered under that framework. To me, this is more about journalists as people and as professionals connecting with an audience, as opposed to and covering the stories and talking about the issues from their perspective, right, and from what they're uncovering. And I think that's really important. I think that as I said earlier, I think that we've gotten away from that in our existing news framework, and news has become far more entertainment than news in many regards. And I personally, even though it's more personal in this way, it's also more authentic. And I think that's one of the things that we're missing in the current environment. I've started to explain what we're doing here at Happs in the framework of how kind of TV has evolved over its lifetime, at least here in the U.S. Here in the U.S. we had 3 television channels originally, over-the-air television channels, and they were supported by advertisers, right? Because you'd get all the eyeballs, and you could afford to support that content, creation and distribution through advertising. Then we evolved to a pay TV universe where there was 300 channels, still professionally produced, but supported by a combination of subscription payments and advertising. What we believe is that we're headed towards an environment where there's going to be 3 million plus, TV brands, and built around individuals who are professionals in their field, or enthusiasts with a passion for a certain thing. So instead of having one, highly produced cooking show, you're going to have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people cooking for their direct audience. And that audience will support them in what they do if they value what they do directly, as opposed to that cook having to work for a media company in order to, make a living and distribute their content. So the same thing with journalism. We're certainly a long ways from this, and I don't mean to claim that you can immediately come on here and basically support yourself through doing journalism on Happs. I hope to be there sometime soon. We're obviously not there yet, but that is our goal. That people will come here. They will report on the issues that they find of interest, and they'll develop a following that'll be willing to support them to do that work that's so important and so valuable. And that we'll see that on the local level, where right now it's very hard to get quality local reporting because the economics are getting very difficult for doing that. We'll see it on the national level across multiple genres of journalism, and we'll see it on the global level, so that things are getting covered that we don't even get exposed to these days. So that's
that's really fascinating. Yeah, that's great. How many other countries are represented on Happs? How many other people? How well spread out are you at this point?
Predominantly U.S. So about 70% or so of the users on Happs are U.S. right now, and then spread around the world from there. But hard pressed to find a country where we don't have somebody who's using this platform. Not yet broadcasters from all countries, but somebody who's plugged into Happs from pretty much anywhere in the world.
I think that's fascinating. Let's see what else. Who's here? Peter. Yeah, Peter said he's glad that you won me over. Chantal is here. I enjoy watching Chantal, who is based in Paris, because all she does, well, not all, but one of the things she does is she walks around Paris, and you can see Paris. You can see what's going on in Paris on any given day that she broadcasts, and her commentary is lovely and interesting.
It is. Chantal's amazing.
And I find that when I go do the same in New York, when we're not in a pandemic, I will do it again. People will write and say, oh, I love New York. I miss New York. I've never been to New York. They just want to see what's going on in New York. And that's a wonderful thing to share.
Totally, Liza. I mean, to me, that's one of the powers of a platform like this is to allow people to make that human connection throughout the world. And we don't just do that by speaking to one another. We do it by experiencing what you're experiencing on a daily basis, the types of food you're eating, the types of stores you're going to, the conversations that you're having. And I think, by having those shared experiences, you gain a greater understanding of one another. I think that's the amazing thing of what somebody like Chantal is doing is, by walking through the streets of Paris and hearing her talk and engage with the audience and answer questions, I start to understand the world from her perspective, and that makes my life richer as a result.
So nicely put. All the international cartoonists I know a lot around the world for a lot of reasons. I've met them and a lot of them through social media, but by seeing what they draw in their countries, sometimes I know very little about their country, but I can see what they're dealing with in their own country by what they draw, and assuming it's captionless or without words, and I can also see what they think of the United States. So it's kind of the same ideas, is looking at other parts of the world from the ground, from somebody who's living it and being there, instead of, as you said, instead of having somebody produce a highly scripted and fancy broadcast about that country or the people in that country, which has its merits. But listening to somebody or watching somebody draw or seeing their cartoon about what life is like there is like you said, enriching.
There's no question. We always say that there's a big difference between a news reporter going to report on a subject and somebody who's connected to that subject, taking you into it and allowing you to share the experience with them. The view you're going to get of that event is totally different depending on which perspective you're coming at it from. And I think your example of the cartoonists that you follow around the world is a perfect manifestation of this. It's part of the reason why TV video is such a powerful medium, because it's a visual medium, and you can strip away the language barriers and other barriers that exist, and you can understand things at a deeper level just through the visual representation and connection that you're making.
Let's see if anybody else is coming in. Boston, Steve, Sylvia, Valerie. Thank you, Chantal. Going back to cartoons, I'd love to pick your brain because I've watched editorial cartoons all my life, and by watched I mean watched the art form, the in the bigger picture. I've read the cartoons, but also looked at the medium, and I see. And I started by during Watergate. I was a big fan of Herb Bloch from the Washington Post during Watergate.
Amazing, yeah.
Helped to bring down Nixon. So that was and then Gary Trudeau, of course, who was a different kind of cartoonist who did Doonesbury and chronicled our American people in a way that other cartoonists hadn't really done that before. He criticized our culture as well as our politicians. So it's a long preamble to ask you who you were looking at when you were a young person. You're still young, but when you were growing up. What cartoonists were you looking at, political cartoonists, and what, I feel, I'm afraid that the art form is dying now, and I just want to know what you think about it and why. I mean, we know why it's probably dying, but I think it's competing with all this different media, and that's why I think live drawing, a political cartoon, might be more interesting to the general public, instead of a cartoonist just putting their. Even though I just was praising political cartoons around the globe, and I love them, but the static image maybe is not as doesn't have as much legs as it used to in print media. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on cartoons, if you have any.
Well, I mean, look, I don't claim to be an expert, Liza. I mean, I certainly have always found editorial cartoons to be an incredibly powerful format for getting messages across in a way that really connect with people. Like without having to listen to a long broadcast or read a long article or watch a segment. In just a short second, you can understand what's going on and the significance of that moment. And I think that's an incredible talent. And I, by the way, I actually don't believe that it's getting lost. I think it's more significant than ever, because you look at what our society has become with memes and all of this stuff, and it's somewhat a reflection of it. What you may be referring to is the devaluation of the truly talented people doing it like yourself, and the value that you bring to the table in your ability to elevate that art form and put perspective behind it. But I think as a medium, it's as powerful and as significant as ever. And I just, what I hope is that people recognize the distinction between the work that you're doing and what you're bringing to the table, and the influx of other, short visual elements that people share around so freely, that aren't as well crafted and as well thought through as the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think the memes and the video clips of late night comedians, which I adore, those have in part replaced cartoons, and then newspapers have been dying. So the old-fashioned model of a staff cartoonist is dwindling, and I think editors are afraid of cartoons in many cases. They're unpredictable, and sometimes they can be misunderstood. Is that your dog?
That's my dog. Sorry.
No
she's feeling left out of the conversation. So yeah, look, it's an interesting time. There's never been more availability to content. The distribution has obviously become very democratized and very ubiquitous. But the need for higher quality content has never been higher either. And obviously what we're trying to build here is an environment where you can build that connection with people who value, the quality work that you're doing, and it doesn't get lost in the noise of everything that they get bombarded with. That's the goal, at least. Look, you asked me what my favorites were. I mean, to me, the New Yorker was always the pinnacle of. I always thought that their cartoons were just so spot on and so brilliantly, both subtle and meaningful, that I know that's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to convey a complex idea in such an elegant and simple fashion.
Well,
and
yeah,
I have a lot of regard for it.
I've been a fan all my life, as well, and the political cartoons in the New Yorker also are great. So you want to explain the multicast to the viewers? And I see we have some Reddit watchers with us.
Yeah. So sure. So Happs is a broadcasting platform that basically gives creators, including journalists like Liza, tools to do professional TV quality content, and to multicast those broadcasts onto multiple social platforms, including Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and Periscope, and just today Twitch. We added to the destinations that broadcasters can connect to. And so that's why, if you're viewing this content on Reddit, why you're seeing it, and we can see your comments, and we can respond to your comments But if you want to see all of the comments from all of the platforms, all of those social platforms, you have to view the content on Happs, because this is the only place where we're able to bring all of the comments together and and see them all in one place.
Yeah, that when I heard you were doing that, that was great. Just having all the different platforms in one place. Someone asks, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Feeds or Fidus? I'm sorry, I apologize. Mark, how do you see yourself in 5 years? I would like to ask that same question. What do you?
Me personally, or the company?
I'll stay with the company. I don't know what he wants to know or she wants to know, but
okay.
Right
now, there's probably not much of a difference these days.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah. Look, we have big visions for this company. You know, we want to be a place where, as I said, millions of people, professionals to enthusiasts, are, doing visual broadcasting, and connecting directly with their fans, and across all genres. So, if you think of what YouTube would be if they started today, this platform is probably what YouTube would be if it were being started today. That's the way we see it, and we want a community of broadcasters on here collaborating with each other, because we believe that that's the most powerful way to both make the content more compelling, but also to expand awareness of the incredible work that each of you is doing. And we want to build a community of people who value that kind of creativity and want to be connected to the broadcasters, and also want to support the broadcasters to keep doing the incredible work that they're doing. And we want that to take place literally around the world, and at every neighborhood and street corner.
It's exciting. I mean, I hope that happens.
You and me both, Liza.
Yeah, really.
and you will be able to say with no equivocation, Liza, that you were one of the very first who saw this and was willing to give it a shot, and for that we're eternally grateful. Believe me.
Well, you guys came along at a time during the pandemic. You introduced yourselves to me, but I had been doing the live drawing on my tablet and going around wherever I was in the world, and I used to travel a lot, drawing on my tablet, and my followers would be able to be there with me via my drawings, because I would put them out on social media immediately. So it's a similar model to what you're doing, only I wasn't getting paid for it. There were a couple of mainstream media companies that would pay me to do that, but they were not quite sure if it was successful, and they weren't sure if it's something they wanted to continue doing. But so when you guys came along, it was like, yeah, this is, to me, it's a great way to connect with your viewers and to share and experiences, as you said a few minutes ago. Which is, now, are you at all like in touch with people at Patreon? That's a similar model, only different, similar but different. So can you talk to that?
I'm curious from your perspective, Liza, because we were just talking about this.
For you,
how do you view Patreon in regards to Happs? How are we similar but different from your perspective?
well, you have a paying model for your creators, and I've only been on Patreon like a year. I haven't really even tried to get patrons. I have a few patrons, and actually they're people that are supporting me on Happs, because I've mentioned it on Happs, so they go and support me on Patreon. So that's nice. But I really don't know the extent of Patreon. I don't know what all you can do. I guess you can do podcasts there. I know there's, like there's a lot of, like Happs, I mean, there's a lot of variety of creators on Patreon.
Yeah.
Musicians, artists. That's all I know. Musicians and artists and craftspeople.
Yeah.
Journalists. Are there journalists on Patreon? But it's a
I,
paying model. It's a paying model that sort of goes around the standard gatekeepered media outlet.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's a similar model. I think that Happs is built more around the creation of the content on this platform and the collaboration between broadcasters. That's one of the ways that broadcasters have been most successful on this platform is co-creating on here with each other. So, I think that's a slight difference, but there's certainly similarities between the two platforms. And I think for some people, the framework and the model that Patreon has set up is working better for them. For other people, I think the framework and model that Happs has set up is working better. I know I've talked to a few people who have Patreon accounts and have transitioned those people over to Happs because I think they like having it all in kind of just one place. They don't have to send people anywhere. They don't have to track, where their income is in different platforms. So, it's just it's an integrated, simple solution that essentially allows you to broadcast from one place, to reach your audience everywhere where your audience is, and to make money here on this platform.
And it's more immediate on Happs. I think you can just immediately connect with your audience. In a way, maybe you can on Patreon, but I don't know.
I don't think that framework is built into Patreon. I don't think there's the real-time interaction with your fans and your audience. I think it's more of a kind of a step removed model.
Also with Happs, you can connect with more people via all the other platforms, and you can get the attention of people that are totally out of your circle if you want.
I think that's what Helen is saying, is that on Patreon you're really speaking solely to the people who are supporting your work financially, whereas on Happs you can reach a broader audience and hopefully expose your work to more people, and then hopefully those people will also come and support you as well.
Well, I look forward to collaborating with some people. I was on Chantal's broadcast. She had a group of us women on for just a conversation, which was great. And I don't know what other kinds of collaborations that are happening, but I haven't done that very much. I'm on somebody's interview tomorrow.
I really encourage you, Liza, to explore that. I mean, we have incredible musicians on here, and it'd be very fun to see a collaboration between you and them during broadcasts. We have other very talented artists. We have wellness and meditation people. We obviously have journalists who I think your point of view and perspective would be very interesting on their broadcast. So we definitely should explore that further.
And I could draw people as I talk to them too, which is something I've done too. That would be fun. Draw the musicians as they're playing. Yeah,
I mean, one of the reasons why we built this whole framework of collaboration into Happs is because it's very challenging to be a single person and make your broadcast compelling. I think you do a phenomenal job, but that's not so easy for everybody. And so obviously, by giving people the ability to work together, it just elevates the content that's being created, the connections that are being made, the discussions that are being had. I just think it makes it a more interesting experience. Plus, as I said, it exposes each of the broadcasters to more people who wouldn't know of them otherwise. So so definitely want to make those connections for you if that's something in which you're interested.
Yeah, no, I do want to. I do want to do that. That'd be great. Yeah. So let's see. Anybody else have any more questions? You can do live streaming. Okay, I saw that, Helen. Thank you for saying that. Well, I'm gonna let you go because I know you're busy, and it was great talking to you, Mark. Thank you for your input.
I'm just glad you didn't make me draw, Liza, because that would have, as much as Helen wanted to see that.
I saw that. I saw she was. Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to see me draw. Just like they don't want to hear me sing. That's for sure. So maybe someday I will do some travel broadcasts, and maybe even I'll get bold enough to do cooking. But I think drawing and music is not going to be my forte.
Have you broadcast at all, other than being a guest on people's channels?
I've done a few broadcasts of sunsets. That's my that's the extent of my how I've used the platform. But it'll come. It'll come.
I think you should bring your dog into the broadcast. That would spice it up. Everybody loves dogs, right?
I will get huge ratings for sure if I bring that into it. Much more so than I get on my own.
All right. Well, let's see. Any more comments? Adam, is it the eyeball, which is the total viewers number? Please help. I am broadcasting and want to know some viewers need answers. Help. So maybe, how can individual broadcasters get in touch with Happs folks to get help like that?
Anita, generally the best place to go to ask those questions is Peter and Pablo's daily broadcast, or just reach out to them via email, and they can help you with those answers. Yeah,
they're great. They help me a lot. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Have a great afternoon. I know it's still the afternoon over there.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fun, Liza. I always enjoy hanging out with you. So thank you for inviting me.
Likewise. Yeah. We'll do it again.
All right. Sounds great.
Bye.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.